Welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about units of production depreciation. So in the last video, we talked about straight line, where we basically take the cost minus the salvage value, divide it by the useful life expressed as a period of time. In this case, it was 5 years. And we calculated that we would book $25,000 of depreciation every year. Straight line is probably the most common type of depreciation you'll see. But if we're in a manufacturing facility, it might be more appropriate to use units of production. It may be that the life of our equipment is determined not by the passage of time, but rather by how many units we use it to produce. A unit would be, if we're doing tennis balls, it might be one tennis ball. If we're making cars, it might be one car. If we're making pencils, it might be one pencil. That would be 1 unit. And if you think about an example of like a car that's 10 years old with 10,000 miles might be different than a car that's 10 years old with 100,000 miles, right? So the life of a car might be more dependent on how many miles you drive it than how many years you actually own it. And that's kind of what units of production is trying to approximate. So we go to our depreciation formula, which is cost minus salvage value divided by useful life. So the cost minus salvage value is going to be the same. So it's our cost of 200,000 minus our salvage value, you probably can't see that, of 25,000. So did that wrong. 150,000 is the cost of our building. Sorry about that. And salvage value is 25,000. So we are going to depreciate $125,000. The useful life, instead of being expressed in years, will be expressed in the number of units we expect to be able to produce before the whatever depreciating in this case it's a building, before it's no longer usable. And in this case, we expect to be able to produce 250,000 units. Okay. So then I'm going to take my cost minus salvage value and divide it by my useful life, which is 250,000 units. And I need to format this. And our depreciation is going to be 50 cents a unit. So every unit we make will get 50 cents of depreciation expense. All right, so let's go ahead and do our depreciation schedule. So in year 1, our beginning book value, remember when we first buy a piece of equipment, the beginning book value is just what we paid for it. So it's on our books at 150,000. So our beginning book value would be 150,000. Our annual depreciation is going to be the number of units we produce in year 1 times our depreciation rate. So in this case, we've produced 50,000 units times our depreciation rate of 50 cents a unit. And we get $25,000 of depreciation in the first year. Our ending book value, same as in the previous example, is our beginning book value minus our annual depreciation. And I'm just going to copy down that formula so I don't have to waste your time. Okay. Now we're in year 2. Remember, our beginning book value is last year's ending book value. Our depreciation this period is going to be the number of units we produced, which in year 2 is 40,000, times our rate of depreciation, which is 50 cents a unit. So our depreciation expense in year 2 is 20,000. We're not going to have the same amount every year if we are producing a different amount of units every year, which is probably what the case will be. Okay, so in year 3, my beginning book value is last period's ending book value, 105,000, and in year 3, I'm going to produce 65,000 units. I'm going to multiply that by my depreciation rate to get my annual depreciation of 32,500. So now my ending book value at the end of year 3 is 72,500. I'm going to carry down my book value. Last period's ending book value is this period's beginning book value. And in year 4, we produced 45,000 units times our depreciation rate of 50 cents per unit, and our annual depreciation is 22,500. Finally, in year 5, we are going to produce 50,000 units times our annual depreciation rate of 50 cents per unit, and we get annual depreciation in year 5 of $25,000. Our ending book value at the end of 5 years, and after we have produced all 250,000 units, that was our expected useful life, our ending book value will be 25,000, which is equal to our salvage value, what we think we can get for this asset when we're done with it. All right, that concludes units of production depreciation. And in the next video, we'll do something else, which I will totally know when I film it. All right, I'll see you next.